This is actually kind of what I'd say, there is a theme verse for my ministry instead. It says, "For brethren, ye have been called into liberty, only use not your liberty for occasions of the flesh, but in love serve one another." Agape love serve one another. So what you have in the passage of Peter is you have a responsibility where we are called to be good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Well, one of the graces of God that I already mentioned here that we've received in this country is the ability to actually have liberty. And in Galatians, you have the passage where it says, "You receive your liberty, only use not liberty to occasion the flesh, but in love serve one another." Now, one thing that's important is everything should be done in context. Obviously, when it's talked about in Galatians, it's talking about the liberty is a spiritual liberty. Basically, you have been redeemed, you have been forgiven, you have been given liberty from being a captive to sin, not only from the penalties of sin, which is death and hell and eternal punishment, but also you've been delivered from the power of sin. So I don't want to overstate what we're talking about here, but I think a good example or illustration of that is if you are given liberty, you have an obligation to the liberty that you've been given. And in this country we have. I think KrisAnne is 100% right as to what my responsibility is of what you have legislators here, what our responsibility is. Our responsibility is to protect the sovereignty of the state, and I'd even say the sovereignty of the individual, because we have rights. Now, where do our rights come from? She said it, everyone in here knows that. Where do our rights come from? It's not, from God. They are inalienable. It's not from Thomas Jefferson. He did a great job of pinning it down. It's not from James Madison. He did a great job in our Constitution to try to set up a system that's going to protect those rights. But those rights come from God. Those are gifts that were given to us as individual sovereigns, right? That's what we are. We are created in God's image. We are accountable directly to God. And one of the things that I think is important to note is this stewardship of this grace, of the manifold grace of God. Everybody in here know what a manifold is? Manifold is something that takes one and divides it up into many. There's a bunch of different things that God has given us, and we have an obligation to do it. One of the things we have is liberty. Now so it's to protect our state sovereignty, but it's also to protect the rights of the individual, the sovereign individual. That is, in the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson did a great job of pinning it to say that that's why governments are instituted, is to protect these inalienable God-given rights. Now, my challenge is, in fact, I'll just say it. In Proverbs 29, verse 2, what it says is, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn." So in our system of government, who's in authority?
Wicked right now.
I would agree with that. But who are the authority? When it says the righteous are in authority, who are we talking about? Well, the authority is we the people, right? We're not talking about Trump. I appreciate that he's there. I don't know if I'd call him the righteous, but he's doing a good job. He's there, and I appreciate the fact that he's there. But he doesn't rule. We the people rule. When the righteous are in authority, that's redeemed, that's God's church, that's people who are willing to open His book and live by His book. When they are in authority, everybody rejoices. But when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn. And if the righteous will not take authority, then I promise you the wicked will bear rule. And what I would say is, I'm going to be right there with you beating up on our politicians for not doing their job. But the only reason why you have politicians who won't do their job is because you won't do your job. It's because I'm not doing my job. We rule here. We get to choose who our politicians are. That's incredible. But I tell you, our politicians, your politicians in Little Rock are perfect representation of who the people are. The politicians in Washington are the perfect representations of who the people are. And the truth is, until we are willing to sacrifice and to give up something in order to make sure that we are able to preserve our liberties, it's not going to happen. I mean, I think the example that she used of my Suburban, which is actually a borrowed Suburban, so maybe we can actually use that a little bit in the illustration. You know, if I were to take that Suburban, I have a vehicle that's getting worked on, so I'm borrowing a loaner until then. And so if I were to take that Suburban and I were to sell it to KrisAnne, and she were to drive it for a long time, there would actually be at some point, in the sense that she's an attorney, she knows this, there's a concept of mutual assent. Right? There's kind of an agreement, even if there's not any direct authority or transfer. At some point, it's going to be really hard to get that and put that back in the rightful hands. And that's where we are as a country. Where we are as a country is for a long time, the politicians in Little Rock has advocated and given authority to the people in D.C. The individuals have given authority to the people in D.C. And we are so in the middle, especially when it comes to money, it's going to be really hard to separate that. It's going to be a very long process to make that change. And if we as citizens aren't willing to step it up and aren't willing to make sacrifices, then it'll never happen. You know, the parable of the treasure that was hidden in the field, it's in Matthew 25. You know, what happened is this guy says, heaven like this, that there's a treasure that's hidden in the field. The person finds that treasure that's hidden in the field. He sold everything, and then he went and bought that property. You can imagine someone looking from the outside and reading this saying, you know, why did you sell everything to buy that piece of property? You know, maybe it's like 10 acres just south of Fort Smith here that someone sells for, you know, $300,000. And the property's probably worth $2 grand an acre. That doesn't make any sense. Why would someone do it? Well, if there's a treasure there that's worth $10 million, then it'd make perfect sense for him to purchase that, right? Well, what I'm saying is that liberty, your liberty that's been given to you, that grace of liberty that's been given to you, is a very special treasure. And most people will not understand if you're willing to make great sacrifices to get there. But until we are as citizens willing to make sacrifices, don't expect your politicians to do that.